Good evening, my dear friends. I'm here to introduce one of the greatest sons of Malaysia. He's none other than Tan Sri Dato Dr. M. Jagadisan, a person who has been contributed very much not only to the field of sports, but also to the field of medicine. Tan Sri Jagadisan is a medical doctor with postgraduate qualification in pathology and infectious diseases, currently working as a consultant clinical microbiologist in the private sector. He is also the Pro-Chancellor of the University of Science Malaysia. Previous to this, he served the Ministry of Health for the main part of his career, culminating in the post of Deputy Director, Research and Technical Support. Before that, he was a Director of the Institute for Medical Research. He has also served the World Health Organization as consultant, temporary advisor in his area of specialization. He has also served as medical advisor to the UNDP, Associated Council for Health Research for Development in Geneva. He's been an active researcher as well as research manager in his area of expertise and has published more than 100 papers in peer-reviewed journals. Parallel to this medical career, he has been actively involved in the development of sports medicine and doping control in this country. He is currently the medical advisor to the Commonwealth Games Federation and the chairman of the Medical Anti-Doping Commission of the Olympic Council of Asia. He was an active athlete in his time, having been Asian Games sprint champion in 1962 Jakarta and 1966 Bangkok, and semi-finalist in the Olympic Games in Tokyo 1964 and Mexico 1968. Winner of 2 national awards 30 years apart, the Sportsman of the Year award in 1966 and the National Science Award in 1995. While his scientific contribution having earned him election as academician, Senior Fellow of the Academy of Sciences of Malaysia. I'm very proud to introduce our great friend and very illustrious son of the Malaysia. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for this kind invitation to be part of this great event, which is basically working towards healthy aging. My talk today will be the key to healthy aging based on the principle of what I like to call lifestyle engineering. In other words, managing your lifestyle towards a process of healthy aging. Another way to look at it is basically by having a healthy lifestyle, you can cheat your age. And what do we mean by cheating age? Cheating age is different from age cheating. Age cheating is where somebody, for some different purpose, will either increase his age or decrease his age so that he enjoys some benefit. And that is just a pretense. But when we talk about lifestyle engineering and cheating age, what we are talking about is that you're able to cheat your body of your actual age by beginning to feel, look, and behave younger. And basically, what people might think initially is that, oh, is this a genetic play? Are we going to play around with the genes to let him live longer? Not really, not really. What we are talking about is simple lessons we already know, but we don't practice enough. And we don't practice enough. And what sometimes we like to call this as what is known as the knowledge paradox, or the no-do gap, which means that we know these things and yet we are not practicing them for whatever reasons of our own. But we can extend, by following these simple principles and simple styles, we can extend our own shelf lives and raise our use by date. In other words, another way to look at it is to add life to your years as well as years to your life. So mostly you are cheating yourself of your age, incidentally to others. Now, initially, fair enough, we accept that there is a genetic basis because you can have different chromosomes or genes that allow you to live longer than somebody else. You may inherit this. But having said this, that alone is what you're born with, but there are a lot of things that you can do to modify it. So that is the purpose of this talk today. While we accept that the DNA and changes in the DNA can affect your age, what you're talking about is things that we can do ourselves basically to find sustainable ways to promote health in the individual as well as the population, ways which are effective, efficient, and affordable, realizing that basically health is an inalienable human right. It's our right to be healthy. However, please remember, it is not automatic and it is not free. Neither is it a passive option. Health, just like wealth, has to be created through effort and time investment. So a lot of initiative on your own part. Now, what we are talking about, improving health, and what we need to do is both regarding the individual as well as the community. And we need to invest a little bit now in health, a little bit, maybe not even too much. Otherwise, you find you'll have to spend a lot on disease later. Now, this is quite frightening, Recent articles in the medical magazines as well as the newspapers are showing us the analysis that Malaysians do not value health and are actually not very healthy. When we look at the National Health and Morbidity Survey, there's a cause for worry because over the last couple of decades, there has been a changing pattern of disease and causes of deaths in our country. And the four main diseases which we might like to refer to as the four horsemen of the apocalypse, which is either obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. So these are things that our main people are suffering from, to the point that when you look at what we need to do towards a healthy lifestyle is to have what we call the 4 pillars towards a healthy lifestyle. What are these 4 pillars? The first pillar is weight control. The second pillar is exercise and physical activity. The third pillar is the avoidance of known risks which damage our body, damage our lives, and shorten our lifespan. And 4, what are the steps of preventive maintenance that we need to do to enhance our longevity? So let's look at these 4 pillars one by one. But let's also realize that altogether, this is not, rocket science. The principles of these 4 pillars are well known. And we actually can easily integrate it, if you want, into our lifestyle with just minor adjustments. The integration of these 4 principles into our lifestyle is what we like to call lifestyle engineering. In other words, introducing the 4 pillars that is going to enhance your longevity into your lifestyle is a process we call lifestyle engineering. However, please realize that we still have the no-do gap and the knowledge paradox. And the thing is, although we know all these things, we are not paying much attention to them. A lot of us don't. And in fact, the surprising thing is a lot of people pay more attention to their cars, and yet, we expect a 70-year car has only a warranty from the maker for 1, 2, or 3 years. Yet we are expecting a 70-year warranty without any maintenance from our maker. I don't think that's fair of an expectation. So what do we as an individual need to do to offset this? First of all, the most important thing is we need to make a personal decision, a commitment, and the motivation to sustain what we want to adopt. But the most important thing is time. We need to make a little time for health now. Otherwise, make a lot of time for disease later. But please remember, don't be discouraged. It's never too late. Even if you have done nothing for years and years, it is never too late. You can start today, because don't ever forget that today is the first day of the rest of your life. And what are the strategies that we will have for enabling instruments? First of all, for the individual, we have the process of advocacy, knowledge, motivation, and resources. For the community, we have policies, programs, and facilities. So this is what we need to be doing, okay, in terms for the individual as well as for the community. Now, let's look at the 4 pillars. Pillar number 1 is weight control. Now, an indicator which shows you whether you are having the right weight or you're overweight or obese is what we call the body mass index, which is acquired by taking your weight in kilograms and dividing it by your height in meters, which are squared. And for instance, the normal BMI should be between 18.5 and 24.9. It's not difficult for each of us to calculate our own BMI. And if we fall within this range, we can have a smile. On the other hand, if it's less than 18.5, we must realize we are underweight and maybe we need to change our eating habits a little bit. On the other hand, if it's over 25, we have various classes. We recognize various classes. We are not good. Once you're over 25, it's not good, but we have various classes. First of all, those between 25 to under 30, we call them pre-obese. We don't classify them as obese, but we say they're getting there. And those between 30 and 34.9, we call them obesity first class. Class 2 is 35 to 39.9, and class 3 is all those who have a BMI of over 40. Now, a BMI may be a little bit difficult for you to calculate, but there's even a simpler measure, not as accurate, but useful as well, is to measure your waist circumference. Now, for instance, if you're a man and your circumference is more than 94 centimeters, or if you're a woman is more than 80 centimeters, we say you have an increased risk. And your risk is substantially increased if for a man is more than 102 centimeters and for a woman 88 centimeters. So work towards keeping your waist measurement within the acceptable ranges. Now, pillar number 1 is weight control and diet. Yeah. Now the problem is we have basically, as a human being, we have an obogenic culture. When two people meet, very often what's the first thing they ask is, have you eaten already? Have you had lunch? Dah makan? That's the first thing. Eating is such a pleasure. And anytime we want to celebrate anything, it is never without an eating accompaniment. For instance, even if it's a wedding, it's an anniversary, it's a celebration of graduation, whatever it is, there's always a tea or a dinner or a lunch associated with it. And everybody judges the function by the quantity and quality of food that is supplied. So that is what we call an obogenic culture, which encourages us to eat all the time, put on weight. And what happens? Fat cells increase. In the case of kids, before they reach the age of maturity, when they eat too much, the fat cells not only enlarge, they can actually multiply. And that's what obesity acquired as a kid is much harder to get rid of than obesity acquired when you are well into adulthood. On the other hand, adults can't multiply the fat cells, but each cell swells. But of course, when you take steps to reduce them, it's easier to reduce the swelling than to reduce the number of fat cells in your body. That's why kid obesity is harder to manage than adult obesity. So basically, what we need to understand is that to maintain our weight, we got to balance between intake and output. Now, please remember that to lose 1 pound of your weight, for example, through burning, you need 3,200 calories need to be burnt to lose 1 weight. And if you are going to talk about walking or running, 3,200 calories can only be burnt if you walk 32 miles. Can you imagine if to lose 1 pound, you got to walk 32 miles? It's such a task, and not many people can actually do that. So therefore, what is most important is that you need to change your nutrition habits, probably much more, and also introduce your exercise patterns. Now, please note that the aerobic exercise regime alone, because of the 3,200 calories needed to reduce 1 mile, may not be the only impact. So basically, we recommend that we follow the motto of the World Health Organization, which says, eat less, move more. This is a combination of dietary control plus exercising. Now, diet and weight control. Basically, what are the things that we can do? First of all, we reduce our calorie. And then we increase our expenditure through exercise. We need both of them. Now, how do we control intake? Basically, we need to count our calories. We have balanced diets and choose the right foods. There are a lot of books, magazines, tables which tell you what the calorie of each different food item is and how to form a balanced diet as well as the right foods. So basically, you try to create the appropriate food pyramid for yourself, which means that your fat should be less than 30%, free sugars less than 10%, and carbohydrates versus fat and protein is another choice, but plenty of fruits and vegetables, and you need to take enough food supplements such as vitamins, antioxidants, and micronutrients. Now, pillar number 2 is exercise and fitness. What's the benefit of exercise? First of all, exercise helps you to burn calories. It helps you to lose weight. Apart from doing the actual exercise, you may not realize it, that once you have exercise, your body thermostat for metabolism, while it is raised during the exercise, it makes itself even last after you stop, because it makes your body and muscles a more efficient calorie burner by increasing, first of all, the muscle bulk, because muscle loses calorie more than fat. Easier to lose calories from muscle cells than from fat. And secondly, when you add weight training, then you're bound to do even better. Now, what is exercise? Basically, an exercise is moving your locomotor system, which includes over 200 bones, approximately 700 muscles, etc., plus 170 joints. So basically, exercise is using all of these to move, to stretch, and to load them. And basically, what we are doing is, I call a lot of S. We try to improve your S for strength, speed, your stamina, your skill, your suppleness, and stickability, which means your perseverance to stick on to your exercise program. That is what we call stickability. So all these S's will contribute towards you making exercise a part of your lifestyle. Now, what else does exercise do? Exercise enhances your cardiorespiratory fitness, meaning it improves the efficiency and fitness of both your heart and your lungs. Apart from that, don't forget, exercise makes you look better and feel better through building muscles and improve muscular tone, which actually means looking a lot nicer. Apart from that, people may not realize that exercise while you're doing and even after you stop releases a lot of stress. And stress is also a very negative physical phenomenon. Now, there are other physical and psychological rewards of a physically active lifestyle, or we call quality of life. Exercise can improve mental capacity too, through improved circulation to the brain, while reducing the risks of stroke, dementia, and loss of memory or cognitive decline. And this is done through the release of chemical hormones while you exercise, which brings about these effects. Now, the American College of Sports Medicine actually has introduced the concept that to increase and improve health and well-being of a whole country through regular physical activities prescription, they consider it physical activities prescription, which means they treating exercise is medicine. And for instance, the American College of Sports Medicine, has the following guiding principles of exercise is medicine. Exercise and physical activity are important to health and the prevention and treatment of many chronic diseases. Therefore, more should be done to address the physical activity and exercise in healthcare settings. So this is the guiding principles of exercise is medicine. And this is what we need to adopt, not just as a nation, but as individuals in our own lifestyle engineering programs. Now, let's look at what sort of exercise will be useful. What is the minimum of exercise or the appropriate amount of exercise that you need to do to get the benefits? I mean, for instance, getting up and walking 5 minutes a day and saying you're exercising will not be enough to bring the benefits. You need to have certain criteria to say that, look, I've exercised adequately. The first indicator is how often a week do you exercise. The recommendation is at least 3 to 5 times per week out of the 7 days. 3 is about barely just nice, 5 is good. So work towards 5 if you can, but at least minimum is 3. And what is the intensity of the exercise that you must do for it to be beneficial? Firstly, the exercise must be such that you raise your pulse rate to somewhere between 130 to 150 beats per minute. This is about 60 to 90% of your maximum heart rate. A lot of us have resting pulse rate around 70. So when you start to exercise, your pulse rate will go up, and do the exercise to reach 130 beats at least. And what is important is that you must maintain that exercise for at least a minimum of 10 minutes, but best for 30 minutes, depending on the intensity. Suppose your pulse rate is more nearer 150, you can exercise for less minutes. Then if your pulse rate you only push to 130, then maybe 30 minutes. And what are the kind of activities that really help? One of the best things for people, especially as they are aging, would be what we call LSD. LSD is not a drug, okay? In this instance, LSD means long, slow distance. In other words, don't have to rush, don't have to sprint, take long walks, but walk enough. Not just round the corner of your house and back. Walk at least a couple of kilometers, maybe 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, something like that, which may take you 40 minutes to an hour. And that is what we consider at least nice per day. Now, exercise, when you want to classify exercises, we can talk about different ways of actually introducing exercise into your lifestyle program. The first is the typical formal exercise. We actually go and follow programs exactly to the letter, spend exactly a fixed time per day. Maybe you even have a trainer to accompany you during your exercise and so on. We call that formal exercise. For instance, you may say every day, sharp 5 o'clock, I'm in the gym. I'm going to do these 7 gym exercises. And then once I'm tired, I will go back and rest. That becomes formal. On the other hand, we also have informal exercise. We call this either incidental or opportunistic, meaning that while you may have or may not have the real formal exercise, there is a big potential for you to actually do exercise incidentally, throughout your day, whenever you have the opportunity. For instance, when you're sitting down and watching TV, just don't sit down and watch TV. Get up and watch the TV, walking up and down your room. That itself is incidental exercise or opportunistic exercise. For instance, if you're going to go upstairs and you've got 2 flights of stairs, instead of taking the lift, walk up the stairs. That is opportunistic. All right? That is what we call by informal exercise. The next thing is to integrate exercise into your work schedules. For instance, we all work very hard. We spend a lot of time in the office, but we are not working every minute. So while you are find an ingenious way of actually incorporating exercise while you're actually working. For instance, if you have to read some documents, you don't have to read them all the time sitting down. You can actually read them walking up and down your room. Or while you are even sitting down, you can move your muscles, you can shake your legs, you can press your arms, you can do so many things. Try to integrate in your work schedules. For instance, when you want to take a lunch break, you got 1 hour, spend the first 15 minutes, last 15 minutes walking to the lunch and walking back. So that is work integrating into your work schedules. And not only that, you don't have to do all the exercise in one session. You can actually spread it out through the day to actually get the total amount of exercise, but split into different sessions. In which case you satisfy your body's requirements. At the same time, you are able to carry out your commitments for work, study, etc. Now, what are the types of activity that are best suited to an exercise program? Now, the commonest is, of course, to do what comes naturally to us, yeah? That is either walk, a little bit better if you run, you don't have to sprint, or you jog. So walk, run, or jog, depending on your status, on your age, and so on, incorporate that into your lifestyle. And it's very easy to do because all it requires is a good pair of shoes and the time. Secondly, another good exercise is cycling. Cycling is also very good and is very popular now. In many countries, cycling has become the mode of transport to even go to study or work, because they believe that instead of catching a bus or instead of taking a car, you cycle to work. It's become very fashionable in many countries, and I think the top country that is really following this are the Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, and so on. And their incidence of some of the metabolic diseases is about the lowest you can think of. Rowing is also good. But on the other hand, again, you need to have the water, you need to have the river, the stream or the lake or something. And rowing is also a very good exercise. And in countries where rowing is popular, for instance, like Australia, actually kids start rowing even as they are kids, and it's very helpful for them. Now swimming is another good exercise. And if you look at all the activities, the experts say that basically swimming is the best all-round exercise. First of all, because it's non-weight bearing, and it combines cardiorespiratory fitness together with strengthening of all your major muscle groups. For instance, when you're running, you're using mostly your leg muscles. When you're cycling, again, a lot of your leg muscles. When you're rowing, mostly your arms and shoulders and so on. But swimming, apparently, you use all your major muscle groups. But of course, swimming, first of all, to get a proper place to swim is not always easy. Not all of us belong to clubs with swimming pools and lifeguards. So, there's always a risk of drowning if you go just to the lakes or to the river or somewhere and just jump in and swim. There's always this risk of drowning. So that is something we got to balance against the choice. Now, what is incidental exercise? This is where, because you may or may not have time to dedicate to exercise time per day, what you do is you try to integrate it into your working and study lifestyle so that you get the exercise without losing time on your study or work. So what are the things that you can do, which we call incidental exercise? One is we walk instead of ride. So in other words, instead of catching a tram for the next 1 kilometer, get up a little bit earlier and walk to work, 1 kilometer. And when you reach your work, you may be on the 4th floor, 5th floor, take the stairs if you can, instead of the elevators. And also, instead of getting in a car all the time to go somewhere, learn how to have a bicycle. Like I said, many countries have actually introduced, systems where bicycling becomes very easy. They actually supply the use of bicycles free of charge in the city sometimes. You just pick up a bicycle, go where you want and leave it there. Somebody else will pick it up and so on. This is a sort of sharing and caring attitude towards exercise. And also, even if you have got a lift, when somebody is giving you a transport in a car or in a tram or anything, don't wait until you reach your nearest bus stop, or don't tell your friend to drop you just outside your gate. About one last mile, tell your friend to drop you and he'll walk the last mile home. He may laugh at you for a start, but later he will realize that you're serious about it and that he will appreciate why you're doing, So basically, if you park, you ride and you walk and you combine all of this, you can actually, overcome your sedentary lifestyle. And what's even more, you contribute to the nation and to the city by reducing traffic woes. We are so tired of traffic jams. And if people start doing more walking, more cycling and so on, we'll be reducing a lot of our traffic jams. But remember, to make cycling a popular mode of transport in any city, the city authorities should create cycling lanes so that the cyclists feel safe and not threatened by vehicles. Now, there are factors that you need to have before you get up on the exercise. First of all, please remember, you don't just jump into it. You start gradually and you increase incrementally. And then you must wear the appropriate clothes for the exercise. Wearing the proper t-shirt, the shorts or the pants, which are not going to restrict your movement. And most importantly, a lot of exercise that involves actual movement and everything, the shoes are very important. Get the right shoes for the kind of exercise that you want to do. For instance, if you play court games like badminton and tennis, the shoes are very different from what you would wear when you go jogging. Okay, so get the right shoes for your type of activity. The shoe consultant or the shop selling shoes can help you with that. Then also don't forget to have adequate sleep and rest for all your exercise. People say 7 hours at least, but maybe 5 to 7 is also good. But try to get good sleep. At least uninterrupted sleep is what you should aspire for. Sex is normal and is safe as long as within limits and with the right people. Finally, remember, as far as alcohol and smoking are concerned, is a no. Alcohol, at least maybe a glass of red wine may be good for you. 1 glass, not 1 bottle, yeah? But not other kinds of alcohol in large amounts. And smoking is a no, even from the first cigarette. The very first puff itself will cause some damage to your respiratory system and other parts of your body. And most important is for your exercise, apart from the gradual start, don't forget to warm up to get to your functioning capacity, and don't just straight away take vigorous exercise. Warm up towards it, and when you're finished, also warm down to allow your body to cool. Now, for instance, if you think of the cartoon of the man called Milo, Milo, what he did was to grow strong. He takes a newborn calf and carries that calf and feeds it every day until it becomes a full-grown cow. The lesson is this: in that, as the calf only grows slowly, Milo got stronger little by little, and in the end, from starting with a newborn calf, he was able to carry a full-grown cow. So he becomes so strong, and yet he did it without any stress, or without feeling it. Therefore, conditioning should be straight, progressive. There should be an initial stage, improvement, and the maintenance stage. But what are some of the risks of exercise? Nothing is without risk, yes, but you must be well aware. One is, don't embarrass your cardiovascular system, including when you're not ready, don't over-exercise, get a heart attack. We have heard of people dying while exercising, which is very sad. And secondly, of course, your locomotor system is subject to injuries if you don't wear proper shoes, if you don't conduct the proper techniques, and so on. So these are things that you must work together with your medical advisors and make sure that you avoid all of these. So basically, you need to know the risks. You reduce or remove and maintain your risk factors. So what are the risk factors? We are thinking of obesity, hypertension, diabetes, smoking, a type A personality, family history of cardiac disease, and suddenly exercising. Avoid all of this. And some bad habits we got to get rid of: alcohol, smoking, poor sleep, managing stress is something you must manage. And also don't forget that you need to do your medical checkups regularly and do screening, so that if there's anything happening, you pick up all of this in combating aging. So basically, in conclusion, first of all, make a personal decision to embrace the healthy lifestyle. It is eminently applicable and you'll get good returns. And that environment must empower, enable, and facilitate you through the city's authorities, and this the government must help. And with a modest investment, you'll get great returns. Thank you very much for listening.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Tan Sri. I think that the lesson that you've given us has been going on in Malaysia for many years. Unfortunately, we Malaysians are very complacent when it comes to exercise. Only 15% of the population exercise. And this country has got all kinds of food. You can eat 24 hours a day. Are there anybody wanting to ask some questions to Tan Sri? Anyone interested? Or we all know everything about obesity, and yet you were all obese. Sure? There is nothing. Tan Sri, everybody seems to be fully knowledgeable after you spoke.
I think it's late in the day. They're looking forward to the tea break.
You are right. 4:30 is a tea break. See, you are sitting somewhere and you still realize how Malaysians are. That's the thing we have, Bepeng. But anyway, it's wonderful, Tan Sri. I mean, knowing you, knowing what the kind of person you have worked, you have become one of the greatest athletes the country has ever produced. And on top of it, you are a medical student, excellent medical student. You have served well, and you have given us a lot of opportunity for people to understand. I hope we have about 1,000 participants, Tan Sri, online. 800 online participants, and we have 200 physical participants around. They are broken into different talk rooms. But thank you so much. And we will always like to see you and hear you more often than what you are doing now. And healthy aging will be one of the platforms. As long as we all are together, we will be introducing you more into on. And your lifestyle engineering is actually wonderful.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My regards to everybody. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Tan Sri.